G'day guys, my name's Nick and this is Nicktrition. In today's video, I'm going to give my top 5 tips to help anybody who wants to transition successfully to a vegan diet. Tip number 1 for new vegans is to make sure you're eating enough. It's not as simple as just cutting out animal products, you also need to replace them with something.
I volunteer! I volunteer for the starving games!
If you're new to the vegan diet and you find that you're always hungry, it could be just that you're not eating enough. Now, not eating enough is a good way to lose weight, but it's not a really good way to try a new way of eating. The reason for this is you may think that the vegan diet is responsible for making you hungry when really it's just the lack of food coming in that's making you hungry. Most of the foods that you cut out when removing animal products from your diet are fairly high in protein, and protein is really good at making people feel satiated or fuller for longer. Seeking out high protein plant-based foods could be a good solution. Tip number 2 for people new to the plant-based diet is actually the opposite of tip number 1. Make sure you're not eating too much. You see, the vegan diet is really high in fiber, and some people's gut can't handle going from a low fiber diet to a high fiber diet without a transition period. This may lead to some gastrointestinal distress. Gastrointestinal. Needs work.
Move, bitch!
Is everything alright in there?
It's fine.
In contrast to the person who doesn't eat enough, you may have been aware that there'll be some deficiencies in the vegan diet and that you need to replace things like protein and some vitamins and minerals. The thing is, protein in the vegan diet generally doesn't just come as protein as it would in an omnivorous diet. It usually comes in the form of grains and legumes which have some sort of carbohydrate with them, or sometimes in the form of things like tofu which have some form of fat with them. This means that in general, to get the same amount of protein from a vegan diet without using purely just isolated sources like protein powder, you are likely to be consuming more calories than you were on an omnivorous diet.
You can't sit with us!
These sweatpants are all that fits me right now. Fine.
If, since transitioning to a plant-based diet, you've noticed that you're unable to maintain your body composition, it may be worth seeking out some isolated forms of protein, such as a vegan protein blend or soy protein isolate. These are generally really low-calorie, isolated versions of the protein that's contained in pea or rice or soy, and can be the solution to getting in enough protein without all the excess calories. This video is part of a series I've done on the plant-based diet, and if you'd like to know more about plant-based protein, you can check out this video right here. Or if you'd like to see more unbiased videos about the plant-based diet, you can consider subscribing. Tip number 3 for all the plant-based newbies is to veganize your favorite foods. You shouldn't start any diet that doesn't let you eat the foods you really enjoy, and that goes for the vegan diet as well. Even if your ethics mean that some foods that you normally would eat are no longer on the table, you can pretty much find a vegan version of everything. So do your research, get online, look up those little recipes, and see if you can find vegan alternatives for your favorite foods. Tip number via is to make sure you take a multivitamin. Why? Well, the vegan diet is actually deficient in a lot of nutrients compared to the omnivorous diet. However, a lot of those micronutrients that aren't as bountiful in the vegan diet are actually contained in normal multivitamins. On top of that, you might want to take things like B12. However, if you want some really specific information about the deficiencies in the vegan diet, you can check out this video right here. Tip number 5 is to stop worrying about being perfect. You see, the vegan community, although it does contain some really radical people, some really dichotomous thinkers that are all or nothing, in reality, whatever your reason for going vegan, it's probably good enough to be good enough. I should totally put that on a shirt. Speaking of shirts, you can check out the merch store in the description, and if you have any requests for some new merch, maybe one that says good enough is good enough or something like that, then you can always let me know in the comments below. But back to my point. You see, if every single person who ever slipped up just quit, then nobody would really ever get anywhere. Hardly anyone does anything right the first time, and the vegan diet is no exception. In fact, you can use things like a slip up as a learning experience. For instance, what was the cause of the slip up? Were you not reading the ingredients properly? Was somebody else cooking and they didn't really understand what plant-based really meant? Maybe you just really were craving a food that you used to eat and you haven't found a vegan alternative yet. Whatever it is, it's not a failure, it's a learning opportunity. Do you need to start reading packages better? Do you need to communicate with your friends and family a little more about what it is to be plant-based? Do you need to find a vegan alternative to a food that you really miss from before? Or do you just need to go easy on yourself and give yourself a break every now and then? If you've liked this video, you should definitely check out this playlist here, which contains all of my vegan survival guide videos. I'll continue to update it as I make more videos, so if you want to save it somewhere that you can come back to it later, please feel free. If you have any questions about anything I said in this video or any requests for future videos, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like me, please consider subscribing. Until next time, I've been Nick, this has been Nicktrition. I'll see you in the next video.